All right, once you finish carving your contour lines into the surface of the clay, then your next step is that you need to determine what is the shape going to be around your portrait. So you can use your ink pen to kind of lightly create what that's going to look like. I say use an ink pen because if you don't like it, you just smear it and redraw it. Okay, so this might be what is around me and my dog. Then when you're happy with it, you're going to take a fettling knife. You're going to stand it straight up and down until you hit the table. And then you're just going to cut through that clay. And then you're going to keep the scraps of clay to use for the next part. So I'm going to save all of this clay. All right. Now, what I need to do is look at my photo and determine what features do I want to become 3D off the surface of the clay, because that's a requirement that you have to have some features that are 3D. Then the other features can be carved into the surface of the clay. So there's a variety of ways that you can do this. You have the pinch, the coil, or the slab method. So you need to kind of figure out what method is going to be best for what it is you're trying to achieve. So for example, if I know that I want Dundee's bow to become 3D, I think that's going to work best as a slab of clay. So I can set this off to the side. Then when you attach slabs of clay to the surface, you don't have to roll them out using your guide sticks because all of this clay is underneath supporting it. So I can use my hand and I can flatten out the clay even more. So I think that'll work. And then if I want it to be an exact match, what I can do is use my plastic, set my plastic on top of the clay, and now I'm just going to retrace the outside edge of that bow, the contour lines of the bow. And now I'm going to cut through this piece. So before I cut, I might draw these lines a little deeper so I can see where the edges were. Okay, so now I'm going to use my fettling knife and I'm going to cut out this shape. And if I make a mistake, I can just squish it up and start over again. Okay, so now I've got this bow that I'm ready to attach to the surface of my clay. I could use my fingers and kind of wipe away the little peely parts, but that'll be easier once this starts to dry out some. So this bow should match where it goes on the top surface of my clay. So now I'm ready to do the 4 S's. Score, slip, stick, smooth. Anytime you attach 2 pieces of clay together, you have to do the 4 S's. Okay, your table has 2 bowls for you to share. You only fill the bowl less than half full of water. It doesn't take a lot of water to do this. Then you have toothbrushes in your yogurt cups. So I'm going to take my toothbrush and dip it in water. Then the piece that I'm attaching, I'm going to brush the back side. Right now I'm doing score and slip at the same time. It's starting to look like Velcro on the bottom. And you can see the bottom has the slip on it, which is just the watery clay. Then on my Selfie, I need to take my toothbrush and I'm going to brush where the bow goes. And now I stick. Score, slip, stick. And I'm going to press hard enough to pop air bubbles and make that attach. Now, step 4 is to smooth. So if there's lots of chunks of slip of clay, I could use my finger and smooth that away, or I could use a wooden tool to kind of wipe away the extras. So then, if I need to, I could use my pen or any of the tools in the bucket to kind of redefine the edges if I need to, or add in any more texture lines. So then I would move on to other features that I see that need to become 3D. So I could do my hair as coils if I want to. So I'm just going to take a small piece of clay and I'm going to roll it between my hands. And I could start to layer my clay to look more three-dimensional. So same thing, I got to brush my clay, brush one side of my coil, and then score slip. Now I'm on stick. So if I wanted, I could do all of my hair as coils of clay, where I'm just going to kind of make that hair line up to the next edge and overlap and begin to build my curls that way. Every time I attach clay, I have to score slip stick smooth, so I have to make sure I brush the surface that's going to touch the slab of clay. Now, that's one method I could do. Another method I could do is I could get my extra slabs or roll out another slab of clay. I'm going to flatten this so it's not quite as thick as before. I could use my plastic, and if I just want my hair to be a piece, I'm going to take my pen and just draw out the shape of the hair. And then I could just use my fettling knife to cut out what that shape's going to look like. And then I could use my pen or other tools in my bucket to start to add the texture detail on the surface. So if I wasn't going to do it with coils, I could remove that and replace it with a slab of clay. And then same thing, I could kind of draw in the waviness of the texture of my hair. So if I like the slab of clay, then I need to score slip stick smooth. So I dip it in water, brush the bottom side, brush where it's going to attach, and then stick. Okay. All right, so if I wanted my nose to become 3D, I could take another little slab of clay. I could print just my nose and use that as a starting guide. Okay, so now I'm going to cut through this. Sometimes I pick up the clay to kind of cut it when I'm holding it in my hand. Then I might switch to the pinch method and finish shaping this the way that it needs to be shaped, because it might get irregularly shaped when you pick it up to cut through it. All right, now I can finish by using, okay, so that fits the area pretty well. I could carve in some of my nostril holes here. I could add a little more of an indentation on the sides of my nostrils. So you can sculpt with any of the materials in your buckets. There's wooden tools that you could use. I'm just using a regular pencil to sculpt with. Now, if I want the top of my nose to stick up just a little tiny bit more, I'm going to get a very small piece of clay. So I'm going to score slip stick, and I'm going to kind of build up the end of my nose, but then I'm going to use my fingers to blend it away. Okay. If I don't like it, I'm just going to peel it off and try something different. All right, so if I'm happy with my nose, I'm going to attach that because it's not attached yet very well. So I'm going to brush the back, brush where it's going to go, and then I'm going to stick that on. Now, I don't like how it goes from flat forehead to 3D nose, so I'm going to blend that. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to slowly start to smear that into my forehead so it becomes a gradual raised up nose. So the good thing is anything you don't like, you could pull off your project and just start over if you don't like that piece. Then I would always look at your photo while you're working. I'd have your photo next to you so you can kind of compare things to your photo as you go. Then make sure you score lipstick smooth every time you attach two pieces of clay together. When we clean up today, we always put clay on top of fabric. So your fabric goes on your wooden board first. Then extra clay that is not sculpted into anything, you're not keeping, you're going to put that in the buckets at your table. You're going to fold the layers of the wet rag around your project. Then you're going to stick this whole project inside your plastic bag. All your tools need to be wiped off like normal, and then someone can go, actually you can leave the water in these bowls. I don't care if the water stays in the bowls. But all this clay has to go in your bucket with the lid on tight.